Coming up on Let's Get to the Points.
You know what, guys? I think it's time for another Let's Get to the Points challenge.
I like it.
Oh, dear.
Let's do it.
We are each going to talk about how we would redeem 270,000 American Express membership reward points.
So I decided with my 270,000 American Express points, I'm going to check out Seats.aero.
My situation is going to be an actual real-life booking, a redemption that I did 2 weeks ago.
So my second option is something that is a bucket list of mine that I want to do one day, and that is book a round-the-world trip.
We are going to go to Japan. I'm going to book ANA as the room.
And then we're sleeping on the streets.
Gonna be close.
Now, let's get to the points. She loves to pretend being a crazy rich Asian. It's Serena. Sometimes his journey is the destination. It's Miguel. She takes family budget travel to another level. It's Nicole. And he only lies flat over the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. It's Mitch Shannon.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on Let's Get to the Points video and audio podcast, where we bring you the very best in tips and tricks in the world of miles, points, and travel. I'm Mitch Shannon, joined by my co-hosts who love traveling the world with their families using their credit card points and miles. First up, she's our points and miles ninja, always finding the best family redemptions for everyone in her house. It's Serena.
Hi, everyone.
He's our points and miles friend that always shares the deal first. It's our Miguel.
Hey, what's up?
And she's not afraid of a great deal. However, when it comes to spiders and rental cars, now that's another story. It's Nicole.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Please help us out. Click that subscribe button now below to our YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you watch or listen. Also, give us a like and leave us a comment below and tell us what you think about our show. Now it's time to do it. Let's get to the points. All right, as we start out tonight, I've got a little gift for each of you. 270,000 American Express membership reward points to spend because, you know, that's how much you can get right now from one sign-up offer on the American Express Business Platinum right now. Isn't that right, Serena?
Yes, we are currently seeing a very high welcome offer for the American Express Business Platinum of 250,000 bonus points. I've been able to pull this offer up on searches when I Google American Express Business Platinum. The standard offer is 150,000, so seeing 250,000 is really good. There are reports of people seeing a 300,000 bonus point offer, but I have not heard of anyone I actually know who has seen it with their own eyes. I think the 250,000 bonus offer is pretty easy to find if you try different browsers, different devices, and incognito or private windows. The American Express Business Platinum has a high annual fee of $695, but the card comes with some credits that can help offset the cost of the card. It also comes with a very high minimum spend. The new requirements for the Business Platinum is you have to spend $20,000 within 3 months. Because of that high spend, you want to be sure to time your application with big purchases like property taxes or estimated federal income taxes. If for some reason you can't find the 250,000 offer, we have a link in the show notes with a 150,000 bonus offer for the Business Platinum. And if you need more Amex points, you can pair that offer with the American Express Business Gold, which currently has a high offer of 130,000 bonus points with a referral. You know what, guys? I think it's time for another Let's Get to the Points challenge.
I like it.
Oh, dear.
Let's do it.
We are each going to talk about how we would redeem 270,000 American Express membership reward points. 270,000 points assumes one person gets the 250,000 Amex Business Platinum offer and gets an additional 20,000 points from doing the spend on the card. 250,000 bonus points plus 20,000 points for the spend equals 270,000 American Express points. American Express has multiple transfer partners, both airline and hotels, and I'm curious how you guys are planning to use your points. But I just have one question too. I'm wondering wondering if Mitch is going to blow past his points budget.
Not tonight. I've taken an oath. I've taken an oath. I'm going to follow it, and I'm going to stay within my lane.
Okay. Well, yet to see that.
All right. So with that challenge, I accept it. I'll go first. I'm going to stay within the rules of this sign-up bonus, and I think you're all going to be really surprised just how far I can get on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was reassuring. This trip is going to be for two of us. It's going to be for myself and my P2, my current P2, a mini status update for all of you. We've decided to make amends over the Spirit flight and the 26 credit card thing that I had going on. So we're not going to be getting a divorce because that sucks because I wanted all the points, but that's how it goes. Anyway, first we are going to go to Asia, and to be more specific, we are going to go to Japan. And I was kind of going back and forth with you all over the chat today about this, but here's kind of where I landed on all this. So kind of check me as I go through this. I'm going to book ANA's The Room via Virgin Atlantic's Flying Club for 52,500 points per person each way. And the taxes and fees are going to be kind of high, $270 per person. So Miguel, you had some really good points over the chat today, and I agree with you 100%. The difference between booking this via ANA's mileage plan and Virgin comes down to just a couple of things. So one being not having to book a round trip award like you do with ANA gives me a little more freedom, a little more wiggle room. And second, depending on that seasonality rates could be a little higher, smidge higher on ANA. So two people round trip comes out to about $542 per person, taxes and fees. That's really high, but that's just how it goes with the fuel surcharges on ANA, and 52,500 points per person each way. So that right there puts me at 210,000 of the 270 that I have to blow. So check me. Am I still within my lane?
And then we're sleeping on the streets.
Gonna be close. So now that I get to include that minimum spend of the 20,000 that I get for having the card.
That's 12 hours in a Hilton.
Yeah. And as you all pointed out last time, I needed somewhere to sleep. So that's what I'm working on right now. And it's not going to be on the streets, Nicole. So are you ready for this? We're going to take the train down to Kyoto because I want to go back to Kyoto. And there is, ready for this, a comfort hotel, part of the Choice program. It's got a free hot breakfast. It's a pretty decent location, and 16,000 points per night is going to give me about 4 nights, maybe a couple scraps left over after that. There you go. 4 nights in Kyoto, round trip in business on ANA's The Room, and I did it all, and I stayed within my budget.
I would love to see you in a Choice hotel. I think that'll be better than the Spirit Challenge.
Yeah. So let me say this, Nicole. Honestly, I'd probably be happier with a lower end hotel like this in Japan because it's incredibly clean, and I could probably make it work there for about 4 nights in this place. I looked up the reviews online. They weren't horrible, and there are so many places to eat, and seeing Kyoto, to be honest, I probably wouldn't spend a lot of time in my room anyway.
I want you to compare the reviews on Google. Which has more stars, Spirit or this Choice Hotel?
I'm guessing the Choice Hotel does.
I will say though, however, while preparing for this challenge today, it was a little difficult finding some award space on ANA, but not impossible. That's why I would say screw it. I'd make P2 get a 270,000 American Express Platinum Business Card. We'd have a total of 540 American Express membership reward points, and I'd just go book Singapore via Aeroplan and book the Marriott property that I really wanted. That's what I'd really do, but
of course you would.
I wanted to stay in my lane with this challenge, and I can do it. 4 nights.
You kind of blew past your budget, Mitch. You said you're going to get 2 cards, but that's okay. It's great to give people options.
But my first option, I had it all in. I was right in there. Okay, Nicole, so tell me, how did I do? Did I at least stay within the bounds of the challenge this time?
You did, but it was more like a fairy tale. I'm still in my mind picturing you at a Choice hotel. My mind cannot compute at the moment, but mathematically you are correct.
Okay, good. Well, I'm ready to see what you're going to do with all of these American Express points.
I thought, what do I do? The young lady who likes to save scrimmage, kind of like a squirrel. You get all the stuff and you hide it away. So I decided with my 270,000 American Express points, I'm going to check out Seats.aero. And as long as I've been using Seats.aero, this is probably one of the first times I've used the explore function. I've always just put in the dates that I needed and where I wanted to go and use it. But today I'm like, let me try something new, since I'm flush with points. I'm going to split it up into different trips. I am going to save 42,000 points for my son because it's his graduating year. I want him to be able to take a trip to Europe with his friends. I'm giving him enough points that he can get a one-way ticket through one of the Flying Brew promotions. So anywhere from the US to anywhere in Europe. I'm saving him 22,500 Virgin Atlantic points to come back from London Heathrow to Miami because there's always a direct flight. Then this summer, I am booking myself a individual trip. It's finally time for me to be on a trip by myself. So I'd like to get to anywhere in Asia because my goal is to get to the Philippines. So I found a flight on Seats.aero from IAH, which is in Houston. You're going to like this, Mitch, to Singapore at 87,500 points. I would then get a cash flight from Singapore to Manila or BKK, one of those. Coming back, I found a flight using Seats.aero, the explore function again, from ORD to Taipei on EVA airline, business class for 75,000 points. I think I'm going to do like a capsule hotel since it's just myself or find some kind of Airbnb that is, decent enough. I'm okay with not having a nice big room because we should be outside exploring anyways. 87,500 points for the one way plus 75,000 coming back is 162,500. Then I'm going to add about 45,000 for my son's graduation trip and I'm at 207,500, leaving me with 42,000 points. And I'm like, you know what? I want to take Nyla somewhere. I texted her today and I was like, Nyla, if you could go somewhere next summer, where would it be? By the way, I have a kid for sale. And if you buy one of the kids, you get the other one for free.
Let me guess. She said Greece.
Oh, that was the first one.
That's the first thing she said.
Yes. And I was like, I'm not so sure you're ready for Greece yet. Maybe that'd be your graduation present. And she also said Ibiza because I want to be clubbing. I was like, what? I felt like Miguel. What? Luckily, that's not a bad idea. So again, using Seats.aero, I looked up Miami, Madrid in the explore function. I found some economy tickets for 12,000 points from Miami to Madrid using Air France. Now, I would pick the longest layover, so maybe we can stop in Paris because she likes that. It just gives us time to explore another country. And the cash fare from Madrid to Ibiza was only about $40. With my 270,000, I'm taking a trip to Asia in business class. My son's going to Europe for his graduation trip, and Nyla and I will be clubbing in Ibiza.
I want to club in Ibiza.
I know, right? Ibiza is on my short list. So when she said that, I was like, we could totally do that, but I need for you to be at least 18.
Are you sleeping on the street, Nicole?
I'm not sleeping on the street, but I either have to use cash or scrimmage some Hyatt points because there's some really cheap all-inclusive hotels in Spain when you use your Chase points. So I don't know. I'm like Mitch this time. I'm going over budget.
We're not talking about Chase here.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no Chase.
I apologize. Then yes, I'm sleeping on the streets or in a capsule hotel or in one of those questionable Airbnbs.
Well, how many points do you have left over, Nicole? How many do you have left? Anything?
About 1,000.
I was digging around on American Express Travel, Amex
If you
Travel
say
today.
choice, I'm hanging up on you.
No. It's worse than choice. So I was digging around on Amex Travel and I was looking at redeeming points for just the regular hotels. Of course, the rates are horrible, right? But if you want to stay within the rules of the challenges, I was finding some places around the Japan area for like $50 a night. So...
Okay.
Do they look nice though, Mitch?
Yeah, okay.
I never used the Amex portal to look up hotels. I should look into that now. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's one of the first places I tend to check these days when I'm looking for cash rates because I just like to see what fine hotels and resorts are on there and what the benefits are and everything. I was really digging through there, like looking at all the other hotels. I wanted to see how cheap I could go, like what's the lowest price I could find.
Now you sound like me.
I took a page out of the Nicole playbook.
How low can you go? go.
If you book a hotel through American Express travel portal, you're not going to get as good of a rate unless it's the Fine Hotels and Resorts. That they'll give you 1 cent per point, which is decent, especially if it's a good rate. But if it's not part of FHR or the hotel collection, you're actually going to get about 0.6 cents per point. So it's not that good of a deal unless you're doing the FHR hotels.
And there are no FHR for $50, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Wishful thinking.
Didn't find one, no.
But of course, Mitch would only be looking at the FHR, which is why, he was looking there.
I was just trying to stay within the rules of the challenge.
Yeah, if I wanted to be very streamlined and stay within the rules and not use any cash, then I could cancel my son's trip, cancel Nala's trip, and use that money to pay for our hotel. I like that our challenges have a little bit of fluidity to them because in real life, you're not spending all of your points on your travel. There's some aspects that you need to spend money on, whether it's food, entertainment, activities. So it's 270,000 Amex points, with a plus.
Nicole, I love your ideas. So the purpose of this was just to give you guys out there some ideas on how to redeem your American Express points. And I used my American Express points differently. My situation is going to be an actual real life booking, a redemption that I did 2 weeks ago. Mitch and Miguel have talked about Marriott Bonvoy moments. These are experiences that you can bid on with your Marriott points. I don't have Marriott points, but thankfully, I can transfer American Express points to Marriott to bid on these experiences. There was one Marriott Moments package that Miguel told me about a few weeks ago that was related to soccer, and it was such a great deal. My daughter plays competitive soccer, so this package was right up her alley. The bidding started at 15,000 Marriott points, and this is what it included. A Manchester United junior soccer school coaching session on the beach in Cancun, Mexico, a complimentary welcome reception, Q&A, autograph, and photo opportunity with a Manchester United legend, a full Manchester United playing kit, and here's the best part. 2 nights at the all-inclusive Marriott Cancun for one parent and a child. And if there are extra people in your room, you would just have to pay the resort fee. Only a few people were bidding on this package, so I knew my chances of winning were pretty good. I took Mitch's advice and I waited until the very last minute to put in a bid. I transferred my American Express points to Marriott, put in my bid for 20,000 points, and I won. So if I were to book the Marriott Cancun outright with cash, it would have cost $1,300 total. If I were to have booked just the room with points, it would have been 149,000 Marriott points for the 2 nights. Instead, I paid only 20,000 points for the room, and the soccer experience was a bonus. Now for flights. With this only being 2 weeks away, flights were not cheap and award flights were not saver level. It was about $900 round trip per person on United for the nonstop flight in economy, and I'm not going to pay that. If I were to use United miles for these flights, they would have cost 70,000 United miles round trip in economy. So instead, I used the 35% rebate benefit that we get with our Amex Business Platinum card. I chose United as my selected airline. I booked the flights through the Amex portal, and with the 35% rebate, which I will get back later in about a month, the net amount of points I'm paying round trip per person is 58,000 points in economy. We also don't have Marriott status in our family, but the Business Platinum card gives you Marriott Gold status, and it was very easy to link the 2 accounts and set it up. So far, I've only spent 136,000 points so far, so I have some points left. I would also transfer points to Hilton and stay at the Waldorf Astoria Cancun for 105,000 points for one night. I'm channeling my inner Mitch, and I'm going to live high on the hog before I head home.
You live it. Live high as you can on that hog.
To recap, my flights are not the greatest redemption, but it's very nice to use the 35% Business Platinum points rebate benefit when I'm not finding good award availability. The Marriott Moments experience was hands down a phenomenal redemption at just 20,000 points. Here's the bad news. I didn't go on this trip.
What?
I had to stay home with my little one because she had a swim meet. But my husband and my 12-year-old went to Cancun and had the time of their lives, playing soccer, eating and drinking anything they wanted, minus the Waldorf Astoria, because there's no way I'm going to let them stay at a Waldorf without me, right?
Of course.
Serena, how much was the Waldorf Astoria per night? Did you consider the ratio?
Oh, you're right. I forgot the 1-to-2 ratio. So I can actually stay 2 nights at the Waldorf. This is even better than I thought. So that's a total of 4 nights in Cancun with this one bonus.
That's what I call a win, for sure.
My husband and daughter had a great weekend at Marriott Cancun. They had a nice room with a balcony, which was overlooking the resort and the beautiful blue ocean. All-inclusive properties are so nice because all of your food and drinks are included, and you don't need to worry about paying a bill after every meal. My daughter loved the fresh tacos at breakfast with handmade tortillas, and she had them every morning. For the soccer activities, she was very lucky to meet Quentin Fortune, who is a Manchester United football legend. She also received a lot of goodies like a water bottle, a bucket hat, and a uniform. But her absolute favorite thing was this white hat signed by Quentin. Manchester United Soccer School had a training session on the beach with the kids. And I think the coolest thing about all of this is giving my daughter the opportunity to play a sport she loves in another country with other children who also love this sport. It's almost unbelievable. This package only costs 20,000 points.
Yeah, I was actually considering bidding in this and just skipping the soccer stuff because, I mean, you were still getting the 2 nights at the all-inclusive, right? For 20,000 points. It's ridiculous. Like, I really, really wanted to go, but I couldn't because we would have to leave the last day of school and the kids have parties and all that stuff. So I didn't want him to miss their last day of school. Otherwise, I would have totally gone and just skipped the soccer stuff.
This worked out perfectly because last day of school was Wednesday. My husband and my daughter, they left Thursday night. So it worked out perfectly. So thank you, Miguel. It was a really fun opportunity for them.
Miguel's always finding those hot deals. I love that you sent Parker on a trip and then tell him to get B-roll.
He's on assignment.
Yeah.
I said to him, okay, do you want to go to this? Because I want to go if you don't want to go. Like, do you really want to go? He said, yeah, I want to go. And I'm like, okay, you got to get landscape footage. Like this.
Here's what comes.
It's got to be like this.
No shaky video.
So this is just an example of me making my family's dreams come true with points and miles.
Make those dreams come true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miguel. You helped out with this one too.
Yeah, no problem. I'm telling you, I wanted to do it myself. I actually didn't share this with anybody, like on Instagram or anywhere, because it was like such a low point that I was like, we need to keep it as low as possible because Serena wants to go and I might go too. So I actually didn't tell anybody else besides you guys.
Yeah, that's a great strategy because then I didn't have as much competition.
So I actually have 2 ideas of what to do. I couldn't stick to just one. So one's going to be very quick, but I think it's something that's not really talked about. And I'm talking about Emirates. So when we talk about Emirates and their 5th freedom routes that fly from JFK to Milan or from Newark to Athens, those are the ones that are talked about. But there's another one from Mexico City to Barcelona that it's a pretty good deal, I think. You could actually look for what they call saver level availability, and you can fly that for 120,000 points round trip. You can transfer American Express points directly to Emirates to book this, and 120,000 times 240. You can have 2 people fly round trip in Emirates business class from Mexico City to Barcelona. And so you have 30,000 points left. I mean, that could get you a few nights in Mexico City if you're going to position to Mexico City for this flight. Marriott has what they call City Express. It's a new brand of hotels that are really cheap. And some of the nights are only about 10 to 15,000 points per night. So you could get a few nights at one of those in Mexico City before heading off to Barcelona. The hotel in Barcelona, you'd have to do that cash because you're out of points, but I think it's a pretty good idea for a trip.
Miguel, I think that's a good redemption because it's really kind of hard these days. It used to be easier to do Emirates redemptions when they were with Alaska Airlines with mileage plan, but a lot of people kind of struggle now because the taxes and fees and the redemption rates are pretty high with Emirates. So I think that's a great alternative that you just laid up there for Emirates.
If you actually book an award ticket with Emirates and you're flying in and out of Dubai, the taxes can be really high. I'm talking about $800 per person each way. Now, if you book this, either the New York, Newark, or the Mexico City flights, they don't have taxes that high. I think the taxes are maybe like $300 round trip. So I think it's pretty good.
That's a steal. I'll find a street to sleep on if I get to fly that. So.
Now, unfortunately, on the Mexico City to Barcelona route, they don't have first class. So they do have, I think Serena doesn't like the angled flight. I think they might have those on the 777s that fly there, but I think they're fine. And 120,000 points round trip for an 11-hour flight each way, I think is a pretty good deal.
Okay, so I don't mind those angled flat seats, but my daughter said they were the worst business class flights she's ever sat in.
Was that Emirates actually?
It was. She said, this is the worst business class I've ever been in. Mostly because there wasn't enough counter space. She really likes her counter space. But she's 8. Like, I don't know why she needs counter space.
Oh, this is the 8-year-old.
It's for all her skincare.
Counter space is important to 8-year-olds.
What was your second option?
So my second option is something that is a bucket list of mine that I want to do one day, and that is book a round the world trip. ANA has this program where you can book a round the world ticket, and it's actually a pretty good deal. You can book up to 12 different segments, 12 flights for the same price. And depending on the mileage flown, you follow their award chart, and that's what you pay. The ANA round the world ticket allows you to fly either ANA or any other Star Alliance partners. They have a chart for economy, business class, and first class, and the rate's going to vary depending on the actual mileage flown. With 270,000 American Express membership rewards points, I'd want to book 2 of these tickets. So I would try to find award availability for the 20,000 to 22,000 miles flown band, which would cost 125,000 points per person. 125,000 times 2 is 250,000. So I have a little left over for a hotel or 2 along the way. The round the world ticket is not easy to book, but can provide lots of value if you're able to book it. There are some rules that you have to follow. You must fly in one direction. That's either going west to east or east to west. You must cross both the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. There's a maximum of 12 segments flown, a maximum of 8 stopovers. This is the locations where you're going to want to spend a few days or weeks. You can do no more than 3 stopovers in Europe and no more than 4 stopovers in Japan. The trip must last at least 10 days, and the itinerary must touch at least one country in 3 different areas. So the first area is North America, South America, Central America, and Hawaii. Area 2 is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And Area 3 is Japan, South Korea, China, Southeast Asia, and Pacific Southwest. Some tools that are going to help you is flightconnections.com, so you can see which airlines fly which direction. Flightconnections.com can help you find different routes for you to take. You can also look at Star Alliance website for the round the world tool that'll help you calculate how many miles you're going to fly. And then the last thing that I wanted to cover is which airlines you want to try to book and which to avoid, because there are some that charge very high fuel surcharges. Some of the airlines that you'd want to book because they have no or little fuel surcharges are Air Canada, Air New Zealand, Avianca, EVA, and United Airlines. Now, there's some that charge a little bit more, but not too much, and that's ANA, Singapore, and Turkish. And the ones you absolutely want to avoid because they have very high fuel surcharges is Austrian, Lufthansa, and Swiss Air. Now, I think some of the harder segments to book are the ones that cross the ocean. So, crossing the Pacific into Japan or crossing the Atlantic into Europe. Those are the ones that I'd probably concentrate on trying to find first. And the rest are going to be easier to find. But this is a kind of a very difficult booking for you to make. But hey, that's why it's a bucket list that I haven't done yet, but I still want to do one day. So I don't know, maybe I'll get this 250,000 business platinum bonus and book it.
I have no doubt that you'll book this.
I was going to say, if I know anyone that could book this with no problems, it would be you, Miguel. All right, Miguel. So those around the world bookings, I don't know a lot of people that have done them, but they're a great way to really redeem your points with ANA. So, you've given us some really good ideas there. Now, on the other side of that coin, $20,000 minimum spending requirement. It's quite a lot. That might not be something that everyone can do. So do you guys got any good ideas on how people can meet that minimum spending requirement?
I recently got this card offer and we timed it with the remodeling of our bathroom. This bathroom is, I don't know, probably older than me. So it was about time it got redone and we were waiting to get it done. And since the opportunity presented itself, we used the card to pay for the renovation of the bathroom. So any big changes in your home, also with 2 teenagers about to start driving, my son's already driving, we have to pay our car insurance every 6 months. That's another thing that we have to pay. And I use that towards the minimum spend also.
Yeah, Nicole, doing a home remodel is a good time for you to get something like this so you can meet that high minimum spend because you're spending that money anyway. A few years ago, I actually got a bonus that was really good with American Express for the Business Platinum. They were giving you 15x for Shop Small, which is small businesses. So it just so happened that, the vendors that we use were categorized as small businesses. So we got almost 500,000 points from the sign-up bonus and the 15x on that spend. So it was good times back then.
Yeah, great. Great. Sounds like great times.
So I mentioned earlier in the show, you can time it with property taxes and federal income taxes, estimated taxes for this year. But also recently, I had a big purchase. My daughter just got braces, and it was $6,900.
Jeez.
Our orthodontist wants us to pay up front, and then our dental insurance gives us a check for part of it, a small part of it afterwards. Stuff like that can add up.
Another thing to think about too is, and we've talked about this on the show before, is buying groups. And some of the more popular holidays in the buying group area is these Prime Days. And Prime Day is going to be coming up pretty soon. They're probably going to have some really good deals. So that might be another opportunity for you to do, is the buying groups too.
Now, remember, if you're going to use buying groups to make your minimum spend, these do come at a risk. So your miles may vary, and you want to not take on any more risks than you can afford to lose.
Yeah, the only times I've used buying groups is when I had to meet the minimum spend requirement for a couple of business platinums that I've had before. So that's the only times I've used it, because that kind of spend is just too much for what I spend normally. So that's the only times that I've used it. And I don't really like to do the buying groups for my regular spend.
Talked about buying groups in one of our earlier episodes, so you can go back and check it out. We talked about the buying groups that we use. What are some of the strategies that we use to meet minimum spend with the buying groups? Definitely go back and check out that episode.
Nicole, I'm curious, have you been actively using buying groups lately?
I do use the buying groups, yes. I use them not just for minimum spend, but also for acquiring miles on American Airlines, because that also helps with status.
And have there been any recent issues with packages not being delivered or getting paid on time? Have you come across that in the recent few months?
For me, no. I only stick with buyformeretail.com, and I haven't had any issues with them. They usually pay within 2 to 3 days, and we haven't had any lost packages. Cross your fingers that it'll stay that way. But knock on wood, Miguel. Haven't had any issues. So.
Definitely your mileage may vary.
And don't spend more than you can afford to lose.
As always, that's some really good advice, especially when it comes to the buying groups. So you just definitely want to be careful if you're going to use those to meet the minimum spending requirement. All right, up next, it's time for our weekly recap. It's now time for our weekly recap, where we share our tips and insider lessons with you from the stuff that we've recently booked. So we're going to start with Miguel, and you like to unbook stuff on this segment. Did you unbook anything?
No, so this is actually a preview of what I'm going to unbook in a few weeks. So
Okay.
I booked a potential flights because I'll be in Europe, and I'm hoping that a few days before my departure to come back home, I get to book Lufthansa first class to come back. So I got to prepare for that. I booked a flight getting to Frankfurt, because that's where I would want to fly out from, Norway to Frankfurt. And then I also booked a flight from Chicago back home, because Chicago normally seems to have more availability than other cities. Coming back from Europe, I'm going to try to either book Lufthansa first class to Mexico City or to Chicago, just in case that opens up before my trip. I'm going to be able to make it home, because I have those other positioning flights that are double booked for now.
So you have positioning flights with no flight.
Yeah, I mean, if Lufthansa first class opens up in Frankfurt, I already have my flight. I used 12,500 American airline miles to fly Finnair from Helsinki, where I'll be, to Frankfurt. Now, if it doesn't open up, I can just cancel it, get my miles back, and I already have my flight from Helsinki back home. So,
how likely do you think this will happen?
well, I have 2 dates that I can make this work. So I think this is probably like a 60% chance.
That's pretty good. And you need one seat?
I just need one. That's all I need.
Yeah, it might be 70 if you only need one seat.
What is your reason for choosing either Mexico City or Chicago? Why not the other cities? Is there a particular reason?
Well, because Mexico City and Chicago seem to have more availability than other cities. There is also like New York, which probably is pretty common, but then it's harder for me to get back home from New York, where at Chicago, we have nonstop flights with United, American, and Southwest. And if I do Mexico City, there's flights back to Ciudad Juarez, where I live, 45 minutes away from here. Those are the reasons that I thinking about those two.
So Miguel, are you picky about this aircraft? Does it have to be a 747?
No, I'm not actually. I would do either one of them. I really like the ground experience, the first class terminal there, and the seats are all pretty much the same anyway. So I really don't care if it has 8 seats or 10 or whatever. I think the A340 would be nice because it's different, because it has a urinal.
It's the little things in life.
But I think to Mexico City anyway, they're flying the 747, which is I think the only one that I've flown for their first class before. So, but I don't really care.
Just as long as you get that little rubber ducky, you're fine.
And the champagne and the caviar.
So, Miguel, just like you, we've got our upcoming trip to Europe in just a couple of weeks as well. And we're headed to Copenhagen too. And we're going to spend a couple of nights there. So let me back up just a bit before we get into all of this. So my Hyatt status, pretty much locked in until February of 2026. So I can remove the pressure from my to-do list and I can just kind of sit back and coast with Hyatt for a while. I was trying to find us a place to stay when we're in Copenhagen, and I was digging around for hotels, properties there. There really isn't any good redemptions with Hyatt in Copenhagen, and there's a couple Marriott properties, but after that great deal Serena talked about with Marriott Moments, I want to save my Marriott points for other things and other redemptions anyway. Plus all the rates there are ripoffs anyway. So I kept digging around a little bit and I came upon this Comwell Dolce by Wyndham property that looks really affordable. Now, it's not the best location, but it's a workable location for us in Copenhagen. So anyway, I went down the crazy rabbit hole of Wyndham, and you know what, guys? I realized we have not really ever talked about Wyndham on our show before. They've got some really good offers on 3 of their credit cards right now. They got the no fee earner card, they got the earner plus card, and they got the earner business. And the earner business card even comes with diamond status, which is great for matching to Caesars diamond status. And that could be pretty valuable for people that go to Las Vegas. Caesars reward members, they get diamond status, they get resort fees waived, they get a $100 celebration dinner, they get some other cool perks that come along with that. So having that status can save you some money when you're visiting Las Vegas. Having that business card is probably the easiest way to get status with Caesars. You can also transfer City and Capital One points to Wyndham, but I'm getting a rate around $140 cash a night, and I'd rather save my City and my Capital One points and redeem them another way. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cash rate for this property. And that took me down another rabbit hole of their current promotion that Wyndham is having. So if you stay between 2 to 4 nights consecutively, you can earn up to 15,000 points without holding the credit card. So the big part of this promotion is you've got to register, and it's got to be pretty much a direct booking and a cash stay. It can't be on points. Either way, I was already going to do this anyway, so it's nice that I'm going to get some bonus points with that stay. And at this point, I was this close to applying for the Wyndham Earner Business Credit Card with Barclays, but just wasn't ready to pull the trigger yet. And I wanted to have status with Wyndham before we get to this property. That's why I wanted to get this card. So it turns out Wyndham has a pretty easy status match challenge that they're offering right now. And it's way easy to get status for 90 days. So pretty much you just got to have a pulse of a status with Marriott or Hilton, and they're going to match you. So if you got gold or above at Marriott or at Hilton, you can match up to their diamond status, which is their top tier. And that's pretty good. Super easy how you can match status. But if you wanted to match your Hyatt status, you got to be a globalist, which that didn't make sense to me, but whatever. Once they match your status, you've got 90 days to meet the number of nights, and you got to stay 10 nights to keep your status. Not sure if I'm going to do it because, it's Wyndham and who really cares, but hey. It's not bad to have this Wyndham status for our stay coming up in Copenhagen. So I was really excited about this Wyndham status and the points and the promotion that I'm going to get for this cash rate that I'm going to stay there.
That's great. So no need to open the card. You can just status match.
Yeah. And it's good for 90 days.
I remember you sharing in the chat about this promotion. And I also went down the rabbit hole because I have 2 nights in Turkey. I have to find a hotel, and I found one close to the airport in Cappadocia. And I was on the verge of booking it, and I still have it on hold, but this is a great promotion. So for those places where you can't find a Marriott or a Hilton or a Hyatt, Wyndham is a great alternative to use, especially with this promotion going on now. And I forgot I status matched back when, and I have Wyndham Diamond. The only reason it's keeping me from booking this is that it's about an hour away from where we want to be. And I'm like, I'm not ready for that drive.
Yeah, I also did the status match to Wyndham Diamond. Why not? But I tried to match into Caesars Diamond and no luck. They do say that if you did a promotional status match, they won't match that into Caesars. So unless you have the Wyndham business card, there's pretty much no other way for you to status match to Caesar's Diamond unless you gamble millions of dollars, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point, Miguel, because I also saw that in the terms and stipulations and all the fine tape. I was like, that's okay if I can't. This is kind of like a trial run for me to see what the status is worth and if I want to do it or not. I mean, am I going to be doing a mattress run at the, Howard Johnson's to keep my status? Probably not.
That brings back memories, Howard Johnson. Wow.
But, I could always get that business earner card to get my status. So I figured this was kind of a way to keep the training wheels on and see if I like the status or not.
And that's the whole purpose of Status Match, right? They want to try to reel you in. So let's see if they wow you. So we did talk about the Wyndham Earner business card during our last game show. Do you remember, Mitch, what was your answer? Did you want it, have it, had it, or meh?
It was kind of a meh. But it was the good meh.
So now it seems like it's the same.
I will say, after I've done all this research and I went down the rabbit hole, it's really moved up on my list because they've got some pretty cool properties that are really good redemptions. And a couple of them that I had my eye on there's the one in Hanoi, Vietnam. There's the Beckman Tower that's in Midtown New York. But the one that I really want to try that looks really exciting is the Wyndham Grand in Yangon in Myanmar. That one looks like a really nice property. I want to go to Myanmar really bad, and this would be the perfect opportunity to do that.
So which one do you want more? That property or card number 28?
I think card 28 will be the Wyndham Business Plus card.
So continuing on with Europe, I need to book a flight from Istanbul to Paris for our flight home during our summer vacation. James just had his annual fee post on the Capital One Venture X card, so it's time to use the $300 in travel credits. And I purposefully waited for the annual fee to post so we could use that credit. So I went in today to book the ticket from Istanbul to Paris. I put all 4 of our names in. Actually, let me backtrack a second. I got a notification that the price had dropped because, you guys get all the emails that I have all these alerts set on the Let's Get to the Point email that the price dropped. And when I went in, it was $168, down from $189. When I put all the information in to select the flight, it says there's an error that had occurred. I hit refresh. The price goes from $168 to $189. I had a few choice words, but I left it alone. I was like, maybe I'll go back down tomorrow. I went back again yesterday, $189. I was like, you know what, Nyla, you remember that time we rented the car and I tried to save $80 and it was this whole spider thing? I'm like, I'm just going to book it. I went to book it again. Same problem. I had the error. I was like, maybe it's the internet. So I tried it at school. Same error. Long story short, I tried to call Capital One Travel to see if they could book it manually. I did all the verifications. What's your name? James Haynes. What's the last 4 of your credit card? Da 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 da. And it was like, okay, ma'am, who are you? And I'm like, it's not ma'am, it's sir.
Oh dear.
She was like, ma'am, you're on a recorded line. I'm like, it's sir. I was like, all right, I think the gig's up. I was like, Nicole Haynes. And I immediately went into explaining, I didn't even give her an opportunity to question the identity. And she was like, well, the card holder had to call. So I had James call this afternoon and the gentleman realized that there were 2 James on the reservation. So he's like, I'm going to put his middle name in so we can separate the 2. He went in, tried to process the reservation, and he said, I'm sorry, there's no space available. I'm like, something's not right. So we're flying Transavia, and I looked on their website, and there were 10 seats available at this price. I tried it again after he put the middle name. It wouldn't work. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to book 1 seat. It was available. I tried to book 2 seats. Wasn't available. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have to book it directly on Transavia. Something dawned on me. I'm like, let me book James and Nyla so at least I could use the travel credit. So I booked them, got the confirmation, and immediately got the confirmation from Transavia. It seems like their systems are connected because I already got that. I'm like, let me go back in and try again. So I put my name and my son's name together and I was able to get the seats. It seems like because on the one reservation with all 4 of us, because I had 2 James Haynes, even though the middle name was in there, it wouldn't process the one reservation together. So I had to book James and Nala separate and me and my son together. And then we were able to use the travel credit. I don't know if that's ever happened to anyone, but I thought it was just very weird that I couldn't book all 4 together. So I was able to use my travel credit. All is right in the travel world.
I have never heard of this airline before. I'm curious about it.
Oh, this is our second time flying them.
Really?
Yeah, they're actually a Flying Blue partner. So we flew them on our very first Points and Miles trip when we were flying between Portugal and Paris. They don't fly into Charles de Gaulle, they fly into Orly. So it's kind of like a Ryanair type of thing, but I think it's a little better. Mitch, you would love the inside. The upholstery on the seat is like 1970s avocado green.
Okay.
But there is cushion on the seat. It's a little better than Ryanair. And they actually do serve you a light meal on a short flight. It's not a bad deal. And you can put your Flying Blue number. I'm assuming you could probably put your Delta number in also, since it's part of the Sky team.
What about my ITA number?
Do you want ITA points?
I have some in there. I have some orphaned in there from my Volare Executive.
And look, you have the card right there, ready to go.
I just
Is that
got
your
this
card
in the
number
mail.
18?
No, I just got this in the mail. So I did a status match to ITA like 2 years ago, and they've been extending it another year. So I got this in the mail. It had the customs stamp because it came from Italy.
Oh, that's very fancy. So that's our Europe trip. I have one more thing that is just like Miguel. It's a potential book, but this one is very devastating to me. All right. So this Japan trip planning, it's coming to a halt because I'm trying to like clear out these other trips. And I don't know what happened. And Nyla was like, do you know that Disney's only $50 in Japan? I was like, no.
Oh.
I know where this is going.
She's like, we should go to Disney in Tokyo. And I'm like, but do we have to? And I think she saw the look on my face.
But we're here to make our kids' dreams come true.
I could do that for her. I could, sacrifice one wonderful day in Tokyo to go to Disney. Thanks, Miguel. Now I'm going to Disney.
It's perfect because I think Miguel has some iPods there he wants you to pick up.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You can stop by and get my AirPods. Yeah.
Okay, Nicole. So when you're in Japan, we've got to make this a big win for Miguel. You've got to find his headphones. That would be a great win for him. What are some other wins and losses that you have this week?
This week is good. This week is really, really good. Gene. The real Gene PB said he booked Iberia business class for $34,000 for next May. Are you ready for this? For his daughter's wedding.
Oh my gosh,
Aw.
Gene.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Vic P51 said he booked his parents' Q Suites double bed to India next year, and he's so excited for them.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
I know, right? Wanda Ria paid for her friend's wedding reception using my 14X Amex business goal, and she paid me back already. That is a big win.
Ria, that is so smart. Ria is one of our winners from our anniversary giveaway. So congratulations, Ria.
And Jackie, our legal consultant, is here. And Jackie has a loss. She says, I forgot to buy those Australia tickets for $1,400. Snooze, you lose, Jackie.
Yeah.
Too busy lawyering.
That's right.
Too busy lawyering. Lauren from This Is How We Do Trips says she's looking for a flight and she set a price alert on Google, but she only found one seat for her safari flight. And now she has to drive a little bit further and pay more for ground transportation for 4. I would say, Lauren, just hold out a little bit. You never know. Closer in, something cheaper might pop up. One more. Abbott 8 says she has AA Instant Status Pass and has already been upgraded twice to first class. She says she's going to cue her fancy pinky finger. Keep sending us your wins and losses. We love to hear about all the trips you've booked, whether it's for a wedding or for your parents. Please share it with us every Monday, and we look forward to sharing them here on the show.
Hey guys, my name is Prithvi and I live in Maryland. I'm a big fan of Let's Get to the Points. I always begin my weekends by listening to the show. I love all the tips that you guys share. I even write them down in a folder so that I can use all of them later. I've got 2 points and miles related questions. When you book an award flight through another airline's program, for example, if you book an Etihad flight with American Airlines miles, how do you make sure what the package policy is? Is it Etihad's package policy that applies, or is it American Airlines? My second question has to do with equipment changes. On an award flight that you've already booked, how do you make sure the airline doesn't switch out the equipment on you? Or if they do, what are your options? For example, if you've booked a Qatar Q Suites, what do you do if Qatar changes the Q Suites plane to a non-Q Suites plane? Thank you for all the great work that you do, and happy travels.
Okay, Prithvi, just got to say, Nice folder you got there, man.
I'm loving the folder.
Organization, I love it all. I got mine right here. So he's got some great questions for us tonight when it comes to booking different airlines with different award programs and that dreaded aircraft swap. So Nicole, I think you're going to go first.
I would like to say, first of all, thank you for your question. And I'm giving you a teacher gold star for that folder. Now, when it comes to the baggage, it really is dependent on the carrier and the class of service that you are flying. If you're not comfortable with what you read on the internet, I always would suggest that you call the airline and double check. Let them know how you book your ticket, and then I would hang up and call somebody else to verify the story, just to verify that the information from the first agent is corroborated by the second agent. In terms of the equipment swap, I'm gonna have to go kindergarten teacher on this one. And it's kind of like you get what you get and you don't get upset, but I think you should get upset. And Serena's going to talk about that later.
That's right, Nicole. So I'll take the second part about the question about the aircraft swap, or better known as equipment swap question, because I've had this happen a couple of times to us over the years, believe it or not. Let me paint the picture for you. We're flying the long way home, the best way we like to go, from Hong Kong to Doha, then Doha to LA. And this was just a couple of years ago for reference as well. So I had done all my homework. I had my binder. I had my folder. I had it all laid out, just like you. And then me being the nerd that I am, knowing what my inbound aircraft was, I was using Flight Radar 24 to look it up. And I did a little bit of homework, and I found out that Qatar had swapped out the plane to the old 777, which had the old layout of the 222 seat configuration, and they removed the Q Suites aircraft that we were going to be flying on. Of course, we don't sit next to each other when we're on board the plane, so they had moved us to very different seats apart, and the flight was full of these soccer players, and it just got worse after that point. We ended up talking to the station manager in Hong Kong, and I'm not even sure what happened at that point, but we were able to get seats together. He did a great job of that. And then I thought, you know what? We're safe. We're on our way home. We're in Doha. We're headed to LA. Everything's going to be fine. Well, and then we're staying at the airport airside in Doha. We were only there for 11 hours. And wouldn't you believe it? I got another notification from Expert Flyer I'd signed up for at the time that there had been an aircraft swap again.
Wow.
This time from Doha to Los Angeles.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. We were at the hotel and I caught the swap in time to go down to get our seats changed to where we could sit together. But it just goes to show you that, you know, what you have booked, you're never safe from all these changes until the plane actually lands and they open the door. That's when you know what you booked is safe. Now, just as a side note, we did get this scoop from the flight attendant on board that particular flight, and come to find out at that time, if Qatar had a large amount of cargo that they were going to use for a shipment on those flights, they would swap the aircraft because they couldn't operate the aircraft that had the Q Suite configuration with the cargo because of weight and balance. So back to your original question about what your options are, I think Nicole basically summed it up for you. It's just basically you get what they give you, and that's pretty much it. You know, this stuff happens. They're protected when they say seat assignments may change, all that fine print. It's in there. The best you could do is maybe advocate for yourself. But when it comes to aircraft swaps like this, it's pretty much just the way it happens. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you get what happens to us.
You get Qatar'd.
You get Qatar'd. I like that.
So for the equipment swap, I'm subscribed to this app called Flighty, and they'll send me notifications if there is an aircraft swap. And there's, like they said, there's really not much you can do about it except maybe try to have them switch it to a different flight that does have the aircraft you want to fly. But other than that, yeah, it's just whatever they have scheduled for that day or whatever they change into is what you're going to get. As far as the baggage, I'm not sure this will work, but you could always try something Nicole taught me and say, that gentleman over there said the baggage was free. And who knows? Your mileage may vary.
Hi, Prithvi. I love your folder too. It makes me so happy. And I love how Mitch has folders too.
Make it work.
So airlines have a contract of carriage. They are bound to deliver you to your destination in whatever shape or form they deem is appropriate. If they do an aircraft swap and you're not in Q Suite anymore, they really don't care. And unfortunately, you are stuck. So you're not entitled to anything. But If you feel after the flight that you received an inferior product, I think it's worth your while to just ask. Reach out to the airline, explain the situation, have your information ready, and then ask for either compensation or credit or points. You never know what they might say. I always think that it's great to advocate for yourself. Just ask. Now, there are times when you are entitled to compensation, and that's when they downgrade you, either from first to business or from business to economy. In those instances, you should be getting something. But with the aircraft swap, you aren't really entitled, and it's definitely your mileage may vary.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Prithvi, for your video question. Keep taking notes about our show and that book. And you guys, I just hope it's not his burn book like in Mean Girls where he's writing all the things about us.
I love how you know Mean Girls, Mitch.
Right?
So keep taking those notes, and whatever extra tips you write in there, share them with us, okay? Don't burn us. Share the tips. It's so easy for you to be on our show. Simply drop us a line on any one of our social media channels or visit our website, letsgettothepoints.com, and we'll answer your questions right here. That's it for now. I want to thank all of our hosts. It's Serena.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Miguel.
Later.
And we will see you next week in a different location, right, Nicole?
Absolutely. Stay tuned. See you guys next week.
And I'm Mitch Shannon. You can find out more about us at our website, letsgettothepoints.com, and we'll all see you here next Friday. Thanks for watching and listening.
Let's get to the points.com.